Good morning, CLC. Welcome to this bright, beautiful Sunday morning. At this time and in this moment, I invite you to just love yourself. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in, breathing in the cool, calming, life-giving oxygen. And as you release the breath, release all that no longer serves you. Let anything from your past or future just go right now. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take another nice, deep, cleansing breath in. And as you release this breath, allow your body to just relax in this moment. And allow your mind to be here, now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence by opening yourself up to this miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one very special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. in seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This could be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in this room or on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
Well, the Olympics end tonight. The Paris Olympics. You may be tired of hearing about them. No? Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar. Not in utter nakedness, nor in entire forgetfulness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. It's really what I'm talking about today. It's not an entire forgetfulness. This is a series based in a book by Richard Heinberg, but based in the idea of a lost paradise or a lost golden age and what to do about it. And we just heard a song that says we are working, we are building a world that works for everyone. And some of our motivation, maybe most of our motivation for doing that, is the ancestral memory that such a time once existed. Now, the question that we often follow that up with is, did it exist on Earth? Did it exist in historical time, in actual space? And if not, where did the idea come from? See, for everything there's a mental equivalent. Anything that I'm going to mention that you have any reaction to finds a mental equivalent in you. If I mention something and you have no reaction, it's because you've never heard of the thing, and then maybe you want to discover more about it, and that's called learning. But we have all of these mental and consequently emotional equivalents that we've accumulated over time, and somewhere in there is a sense that all people have on some level, that life could be better than it is, better than it appears to be. And it was actually out of that sensibility that ideas of God were first created by our species. And we made up stories about an afterlife and a heaven and a pre-life and a purpose for life, even a purpose for life. And we came up from that with an ethic. There's good behavior and bad behavior, and then a lot of gray areas in between. There's righteousness and sin. It's commonly a distinction you find more in Western religion than Eastern, but it's a distinction that our species came up with, and it varies from person to person, but it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Even the atheist, even the person who adamantly, fervently, deliberately believes that there is no higher power, is expressing a life that's greater than what they gave themselves. They did not cause themselves to be born. They did not cause themselves to enter into the body that they wear, nor have they caused it to grow as it has over the years. There's a whole lot going on that they're not in charge of. They're involuntary systems in the body. They don't digest their own food and circulate their own blood. So there is something going on there. My sense of atheism is I'm not like allergic to it. I'm not afraid of it or think these people are weird or strange or anything else. I could totally go there. I could totally go there. If what's meant by it is, I haven't heard a story yet that I buy. And I think most of your atheists just have not heard a story of a higher power that they're willing to accept because it's judgmental, it's humanoid, it sits out in space and it makes up rules and it enforces them arbitrarily. And then there are other people that call themselves agnostics who just aren't sure, and I think more atheists are agnostics than they probably are willing to admit. But I think what we do have to admit is that a lot happened before we were born. We came into a world where there's an awful lot going on. There's something working, there's something moving. And it seems to know largely what it's doing if we don't look too closely at human choice. But like it made clouds in the atmosphere of this planet, and the clouds, they hold rain, and it made rocks, and it made trees, and it made rivers and oceans, and we went through all of this a couple of months ago in the whole series on water as a metaphor on Earth. Something thought all this up. It gave us this world that's really suitable for us. And we gum up the works. We are the species that has the most promise and the most pitfalls. We are the species, they think, that is the only species on this planet that can imagine a reality that it has not yet experienced. Now, is that true? I don't know how you test that hypothesis. But we know that we do that. We may not be alone in doing it, but we know that we do that. We know that we can engage in abstract thinking. We can hypothesize things, and it seems like other species pretty much live in the moment and deal with, in conditioning, they deal with the immediacy of meeting their needs and so on. So we have this incredible creative, multi-layered ability to envision something that we have not yet experienced, to create in an abstract way. And at the same time, we have the capacity to doubt that we have any capacity at all. We have the capacity to look at the people next to us and judge them against some apparent absolute standard that is in fact made up by us. We've talked about this before, how the trees out here in this garden are not looking at one another in judgment, in comparison. They're just busy being what they are. And it would do us well to be busier being who we are, rather than comparing ourselves constantly to some kind of imaginary performance standard across the board. So we have loads of promise, we as humans. We have a sense in us that we might be better than we are, and we have this sense, as Heinberg brings out, and he quotes lots and lots of other people in writings and across cultures and through time, that express the idea that there was a time when everything worked. And he says the parallels between the belief in a lost golden age on earth and the belief in a heaven that comes after, where everything is solid and going on and working and peaceful and harmonious, parallels are profound. Looks very much the same. And what Western religion has tended to do is point all of its attention to the afterlife. In the afterlife, everybody's going to get what's coming to them. There's a song from, you ever see the musical Finian's Rainbow? It's kind of a silly little musical, but it's got some wonderful music in it. There's a song in there called The Great Come and Get It Day, and it's about a little town where some invention is going on, and they think it's going to make everybody rich, and they can't ever quite get it to work. This invention, it's got bugs in it, and they can't quite, but when they do, on this great come and get it day, everybody's gonna have everything. And as a matter of fact, they're looking through Sears catalogs Do you remember Sears catalogs? They're paging through these catalogs. So I'll order this, and I'll have that and that on the great come and get it day when everything's handled. So we've been taught in Western religion that there's a great come and get it day, and all you have to do to enjoy that is die. Oh, wait. All you have to do to enjoy that is die in the right religion. And then pearly gates swing open, and in you go, and the streets are paved with gold and run with milk and honey, which is disgusting, especially in the summertime. And you play a harp, and you sit on a cloud, and you sit at the feet of God or Jesus or both or the saints or all of them, and you sit there and you just adore them, and you adore them throughout all creation. That's not much of an afterlife, if you ask me, but there are people who are so tired and beaten down in this life that it looks like a relief. I think after a fairly short period of time you'd get bored to tears, but it's something. And on this side of the curtain, what it means is we don't have to address each other's needs here nearly as much, nearly as adamantly. If on that great come and get it day, all peaks are leveled and all valleys raised in the next life. And you could make an argument that that's how the story got started, or at least how it got momentum. It was a way to shut people up. People are saying, I'm hungry. People are saying, I'm unhoused. People are saying, I'm a refugee. And the response to that is, just wait. Just wait and believe. And believe. I've been reading Karen Armstrong's work lately, preparing for some talks to give you down the road and do some other things with. And she says, in brief, are you familiar with her? A History of God and many, many other books. Karen Armstrong, look her up. They are at this moment. She says, instead of believe, try behave. Instead of believe. See, we've been taught believe. How about act like it? How about behave? God is all there is. Great, wonderful belief. It's a wonderful belief to have. I believe that because it's what I believe. Therefore, it's a wonderful belief to have. You see, is that God is all there is. There's one life, that life is God, that life is all the life there is. I think that's a terrific belief. But it means nothing if there's not behavior that follows it. You see. And what you can do is create the behavior, and out of the behavior, cobble together the belief. Maybe if I start acting like certain things are true, certain things will tend to be true. Certain things will tend to confirm themselves. There's a cause-effect relationship that occurs through my behavior, initiated by my behavior. It drives certain outcomes. If I want there to be paradise on earth, I start where I am. I was in a group recently. This happens a lot online, you know, where people are saying, man, wouldn't it be great, you know, if everybody could just get along? If everybody could just tell the truth to everybody else. If everybody else just leave everybody else to stand up when you say that. We're back on. All right. Okay. So you have heard the expression that the perfect is the enemy of the good. Have you heard that expression? There's a lot of blank looks. Okay, now you have. See, no mental equivalent there. Now you know something new. The perfect is the enemy of the good. What does that mean? It means if you're trying to accomplish something and live up to a standard of perfection, then nothing else, you know, nothing less than that is suitable, and you come away frustrated and exhausted. It's one way of looking at things. And when I go back to the group that I was in, you know, where we tend to do this. We tend to look past ourselves. As Ernest Holmes says, we look too far away for reality. See, like right now in this room, we're getting along great. I realize you're a bit of a captive audience. I'm standing here with a microphone. You're being very nice and tolerant and patient, and figure eventually I have to sit down. But we're getting along, and we're here for a common purpose. Everybody got in the car and came here today for a common purpose. And if somebody needed something, I saw Brian come in, and David ran out to meet him, carried his guitar in for him. Somebody needed something, we'd do our very best to get it for you, to help out. And we're not the only ones doing that. Next door to us, there has been, for as long as we've been on this property, there's been a church next to us. In fact, they were there first. Okay? They meet at the same hour every week. And they have a whole different theology than we have. So what? They meet in there, and you know what? Those people take really good care of each other. And down the road, and that's just churches, and that's just today. It's happening all over the place where people are taking really good care of each other. So where are the people? Where are the mean people? Where are the bad people? That's what seems to be on everybody's mind, is somewhere there's somebody not living up to this, when we're the ones who can look at what we're doing, not in excessive pride or, hubris or that kind of thing, but honestly, look at what we're doing and say, yeah, this works. This works. I'm putting in just enough effort beyond my normal activity to have this work. Just enough effort to look around and see who needs what and try to support them in getting it. So the perfect can be the enemy of the good, but the perfect can also be an ideal toward which you head. And there's a guy named Ryan Crozier. I think I'm saying that right. One of the countless Olympic stories, this guy is a shot putter. He puts shot. What does that mean? He throws a 16-pound weight 75 feet or more. Think about that. A 16-pound weight is pretty darn heavy. This is a large human. And he won a gold medal. And at the previous Olympics, he won a gold medal. And at the Olympics before that, he won a gold medal. And he plans to be in LA at the next Olympics, try to win a gold medal there. People are in awe of him. He is the greatest at this sport, pretty much ever. And what he said was, I have never made a perfect throw. You say, you won the gold medal. What do you want? And I mean by a bunch, by a distance. This guy throws this thing past any competitor. He says, I've never made a perfect throw. You know what else? I never will. I never will. But every day I get up and I try. I try to make the perfect throw. I thought, that's metaphysics at work right there. There is one life, that life is God. Sometimes I don't see that. Sometimes I don't feel that, but I'll try. But I'll try to incorporate more into that one life that I had tended to leave out. I will try to bring in something that I had put on the outskirts of truth. So we try to build heaven on earth, one step at a time, with what's in front of us to do. Because there's a part of us that is not forgotten. There's a part of us that's not forgotten. And when that part reminds us of something, we often want to know, we want it to show its work, like in math, you know. How do you know? Where does this come from? Say, I must have lived before. Maybe I reincarnated. Somebody asked me a while back if I'd give a talk on reincarnation. I don't have a talk on reincarnation. I don't have a whole talk to give on reincarnation. Why? Because I don't know. I don't know. It would answer some questions. But so would the fact that we live in a subjective thought atmosphere, which is ordinary life. But it's not about what comes after, and it's not even about what came before. It's about what's happening now, because all time is occurring right now. All time is occurring all at once. And this is something Ernest Holmes said that took me forever to decipher, and I'm really kind of still working on it. But he said immortality is now. Immortality, it's not that like you run out the clock and you get a new life. You get, you know, your body falls off and you get to continue. It's not just that. That's the exciting part, you know, when we think of mortality and immortality. But he says right now, You're living in all time that's ever existed. You're living in all space that's ever existed. You are a soul without walls, without a containment system. And as we feel that, then all the peace that we seek, then all the harmony that we seek is available to us. Then this garden-like experience, this sweet and perfect time is unfolding right where we are. So, what I want to encourage us to do as we go forward, until we gather again next week with our new crisp Wi-Fi and brilliant 300 Mbps streaming speed or whatever it is, what I want to encourage us to do is start, as we say in Texas, start where you're at. Dangling the, is that a participle? Start where you are. Start where you are right now. How is it right now where you are? You go to a practitioner, you say, I'm really worried about what's coming next. Practitioner's likely to say, well, how are you right now? Well, right now I'm fine, but I'm worried about how are you right now? How is it for you right now? Are you winning at life right now? Are you in the starting blocks of the race right now? Are you doing the best that you can right now? Are you excited about your life right now? And if not, what can be done? What can be studied? What can be understood? What can be released? What can be released for you to feel fully alive in this moment? What can happen for you right now? And are you willing to have that happen? Are you willing? As Dr. Bill Hornaday used to ask people, are you willing? People say, well, I got this problem, I'd love to. Well, are you willing? Are you willing to do? Are you willing to put in just enough effort to imagine something beyond? Are you willing to get up every day and try to hit the perfect throw just so you can do a good one? You can try this with anything. You can vacuum the floor, try to do it perfectly, just to see what happens. You can sit down and compose an email and try to do it perfectly, just to see what happens, just to build on what you know, what you've done up to this point. That's what Pierre de Coubertin did. Pierre de Coubertin, who in the 1890s, having an ancestral memory of some kind, that there had been games in ancient Greece, games of the Olympiad, which took place at the foot of Mount Olympus, or up on Mount Olympus, some of them. And he said, wouldn't it be interesting if we were to create modern games of modern sport, of running and discus and javelin and, yes, shot put and so on. Games for the body. Games for the mind. He said we should have games for both. So he created what we have today, although he didn't see it expanding the way that it has. For 40 years, they gave a gold medal in poetry in the Olympics because it was a contest of the mind as well as the body. And the first poem that won a gold medal at the Olympics was a poem about having poetry at the Olympics. And it is, to the modern ear, a very bad poem. It's kind of overwrought. It's kind of florid. It's kind of a bit ick, you know. But it won a gold medal. And it was written under a pen name by Pierre de Coubertin, who wanted to get the party started. And this is another helpful metaphysical piece of advice. To get the party started, you want somebody to write a poem? You write one first. You want somebody to make the first move? You make the first move. And so it won a gold medal for 40 years, for 10 Olympiads. They had a poetry competition wherein they gave medals, and then in the age of television, it was kind of like, it's not really a huge attention grabber. So we'll let that kind of fade away, and we'll bring in some stuff that makes better TV. But I think that's a fabulous idea, myself, to have a gold medal in poetry, to have a gold medal in theater, to have a gold medal in music. We have other competitions and things. And of course, you could make it a performance exercise where everybody wins, for everybody wins. Well, I want to close this talk now with this, and I'm glad we're back online and stuff, because I want you to... We're not. We're recording. Okay, well, I'm glad we're recording. I'm glad of that, because we have in this very center a gold medal winning poet. And today, because I surprised her with this last night, she's going to recite for you a poem she did not write, but it's by her favorite, or one of her favorite, gold medal winning poets. And I think you're going to love it, and it goes right to the heart of the matter and the topic and the theme. Would you please welcome Danielle Mercadal?
Thank you, Jesse. And he did surprise me last night with this. But this is my favorite poet, and this is my absolute favorite poem. I have performed it on the stage before, but I want to do a dramatic interpretation of it in honor of this being something that was at the Olympics before. Well, not this particular poem, but poetry in general. And the title of this poem is Ego Trippin' by Nikki Giovanni. I was born in the Congo. I walked the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into center, giving divine, perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert. With a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes, I crossed it in 2 hours. I'm a gazelle, so swift, you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built New Ark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. And I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name. All praises, all praises. I am the one who would save. I sold diamonds in my backyard. My bowels deliver uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I had to sail west to reach east and rounded off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned, and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky. Thank you, everyone.
This goes to you. So everything else is actually in the newsletter. So as we come up to giving time, I just invite you to take your gift either in your hand physically or metaphorically and say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
But the one in the room is Jim, and if he wants to come do the closing prayer here, he needs to be moving, because, you know, I'm up here killing time. We don't ask the practitioners to do the closing treatment, but occasionally the practitioner of the day would like to do the closing treatment. And so I am ceding my closing treatment to Jim, who's amazing.
I bring my mind to the divine, knowing that thought is totally intertwined with creation and physicality. Divine mind is where the ideas arise to be created. It is the basis of love. It is the basis of knowing. It is the basis of peace. And I am one with this. As I am one with this, so is everyone in this room. We have in our hearts and our minds the source of creation, the source of love, the source of knowingness, the source of bliss, and the source of creativity. And I speak these words for us to say that we hold these dear, that we act upon these, that our behavior reflects these in our daily life. And I'm so grateful for these words, for this thought, and I release this notion into the law of creation so that it becomes, it is, and exists. And so it is.
So it is. Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I
And
love it.
so it is.
And so it is.